That music is
Hello.
That music is catchy. It's catchy music.
How are you doing today?
I'm good. Was that was that a dinosaur and a pride flag? What's happening there? Dinosaur.
This is a 3.5-year-old toddler's Poppet toys, and I use it all the time to annoy Aaron. So, but yeah, I mean, yeah, I guess it works out that way.
Okay, I'm gonna take it in the spirit in which it's given. So yes, hi young man, how are you?
Yeah, the doing great. I don't know if there's anything with June or Memorial Day, but I mean, not much. I mean, did you get out in the water? Did you have some cocktails?
I was in St. Louis for a wedding this weekend, so I got my groove on at a wedding reception that was pretty crazy. It was a lot of fun. It was some friends who I was in their wedding, and their daughter got married. So it's official. I'm old.
You know when you're really old is when you go like this and you start doing the bump on the sides, when you just you're like, wait, is that a thing? You just start bumping hips, it's just like, yeah, you're like, oh, do people do that? But yeah, I mean, what's almost not as cool as that, but it's way cooler is our sponsors, Bank of Blue Valley and Burns McDonnell, building Kansas City and hiring like crazy. Unemployment 3%. So this is a business you always have to remind people because we have a lot of fun. But Michael, have you been seeing a lot of things growing and happening in Kansas City?
Kansas City is where it's at, meteorologist Scott Havens. Everybody needs to be part of the Kansas City scene.
How come you never thought about going into meteorology? You'd be wonderful in meteorology.
That would be an meteorologist, Michael Mackey. It has a certain ring to it. Oh, I should have. It's not too late. I could still go into it.
You really could. I mean, you are the media, so we can do that. So without any further ado, we do want to thank Burns McDonnell and Bank Blue Valley for always being a kind sponsor and then helping us bring together all different businesses throughout the metro. I think we're about 3.8 million people, 71,000 companies. So Drinks with Leaders, I think we're on, I want to say over 850 guests over the last 3 years. So
wow,
the time is flying and things are getting really excited. So as much as, well, actually people are here to see you. No one's here to see me, but when we hear that music, I'm going to announce everyone and then we will do the question with Michael Mackey asking who you are, where you're from, and how'd you get to Kansas City. So let's hit the music. Coming in first, we have Brenda. I like the low-key music. Coming in second,
Miss Brenda, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Good. Welcome to Drinks with Leaders. I want to know all the things.
Number two, let's keep going. Denisha.
Yes.
Number three, we got Debra. And the gentleman that'll be very patient and will be asked the last question, Phillip.
Hello.
We're going to start with the ladies first. We're going to start with Brenda. Miss Brenda, more importantly, I have all the questions. What do you do? Where are you from? And how did you end up in Kansas City, Miss Brenda?
Well, hey, I'm glad to be back. I think this is my third time on Drinks with Leaders, so good to be back. My name's Brenda VanLengen, and I'm a sports broadcaster. I have broadcast women's sports, mostly women's basketball, on television for 28 years. And I got to Kansas City from Nebraska. I coached at the University of Nebraska, was an assistant on the women's basketball program, but I've been on TV ever since. In Kansas City, I'm on the Win for KC board, all about empowering girls and women through sports. And I'm also working on a documentary series right now called If Not For Them, the origin story of women's basketball. So that's me in a nutshell.
You are literally the hardest working woman in show business.
Just that going on. You got to dig deeper. You got to dig deeper in that. And talk a little bit about your project.
Yeah.
Would you like me to do that right now, or shall we?
Yeah.
No. Fantastic. As I said, as a broadcaster for the last 28 years, I have been a beneficiary of those that built the foundation for women's sports. And so in the last few years, I started collecting interviews and pitched to Real Media Kansas City, Brad Burrow at Real Media, the concept of a documentary. And as we started having conversations with people, realizing this needs to be a documentary series. And I've already raised over $300,000 and traveled the country. We've interviewed over 100 women and the men who supported them that really started the foundation for women's sports in America before the NCAA was interested. There was a lot of time when women and girls were not allowed to compete in sports, and the NCAA was not interested in women's sports. And so it took some really courageous women to break down barriers and change social norms and fight for the implementation of Title IX. And so I've interviewed over 100 of them. We're going to do a story arc that's a 10-episode series. And we just debuted the premiere of the preview of each of those 10 episodes at the Women's Final Four in Dallas in March. Of course, got the greatest ratings ever in the history of women's basketball. 10 million viewers watched the national championship game. So it's a great time to be involved with women's sports and to be telling a story of how we got here. We didn't just magically have 10 million viewers. It took a lot of strong people to build the foundation. And I'm really proud to be able to tell their stories. If Not For Them is the name of it, ifnotforthem.com. We're still in fundraising mode and looking for corporate partners to come along and be a part of us and really help us across the finish line. But we've got a great start, and it's a fabulous project to be a part of.
I'm so sorry, Brenda. I missed where we can see this. Where will it be airing again?
Well, as of right now, it's not complete. We just have the previews of each of the 10 episodes. But if you are a contributor, you'll get a private link to see the preview. But we are shopping it to ESPN, Netflix, Amazon, and others. But as of right now, we are still in production mode. Nice.
And then I know Michael will have another question, but as we do that, I'm always lost. Michael and I are lost without Aaron. Mike Meyer is letting us know that he's happy that he's watching from LinkedIn as Xander pulls up the comment. And just like Anchorman, we will read anything you post for the most part. So if you want to get a free shout out, Michael will shout you out, but let us know where you're watching. We can see people that are tuning in. So we know we have a crew watching, but you probably didn't say where you're watching from because I forgot to. So Michael, I'll hand it back to you.
Yes. That is very exciting. And I wish you nothing but the best with your endeavors to try and get that, try and get an outlet for that. So congratulations. That's outstanding. Miss Denisha, you are up next, my friend. Young lady, where are you from? How did you end up in Kansas City and what do you do?
I am from Kansas City, born and raised. I've been here all my many years of living, and I am glad to say that I am a native. I am the owner of Sweet Peaches Cobblers. And before I go into that, I just wanted to say to Miss Brenda, congratulations, because I went to college. I was playing intramurals flag football, and I went on a partial basketball scholarship. And I played a little bit of football here in Kansas City and tried out for the semi-professional league, and they didn't have insurance. So I couldn't go to work and then play and get injured and go back to work and, and didn't have any ways to pay for it. So kudos to you, because those things were definitely needed. I mean, I would have probably still been on somebody's field had the cards been in my favor. So thank you. So I am the owner of Sweet Peaches Cobblers, and our products are sold in 7 different states, and we're currently in Schnucks in St. Louis, in the Midwest, all over, Hy-Vee, all over, Price Shoppers, Some Fresh. We have a ready-to-bake product that is a peach cobbler, apple cobbler, and of course we do a lot of vending in festivals and as well as kind of events and catering. And some of our sponsors and supporters are Hy-Vee, Kansas City Gift. I've also won a grant through AltCap, as well as done a whole bunch of fundraising for the harvesters here in Kansas City, helped them raise over $500,000 in their campaign last year. And I was also the Hy-Vee pitch competition winner of last year for the 30,000 K.
Now, fun fact, I am from Des Moines, which is the hometown. Oh, Mike Myers. Scott Havens is awesome. Shout out. Yep, there you go.
I'll take it.
I'm from Des Moines, so that's the hometown of Hy-Vee. So
It is.
props to you. Where did all these delicious, delectable recipes come from?
Well, honestly, I just wanted some cobbler during the pandemic, and I could not find anything that was comparable to my grandmother's peach cobbler. And I just went on a mission. I just started recording every time I made a peach cobbler that would remind me the most of hers. And I kept going into the seventh one. And that seventh one, I took to my mom, my family, and said, hey, how does this taste? Does this remind you of grandma's cobbler? And it was a thumbs up, and someone put on Facebook, I had the best peach cobbler. So it started spreading like wildfire. My kids and my family play a big part of it. My daughter owns the peach cobbler egg rolls, which are sold at Wing Studio in Grandview, in Lee Summit, I'm sorry. And then she's 16, and then my 14-year-old owns the peach cobbler cookies. She just recently won a bid to cater for Sporting KC's gala, and she's 14 years old, catering her peach cobbler cookies for them. My son has a peach tea that he's getting bottled up right now, and my 6-year-old is the ambassador and probably tell you everything about the company. So, and my husband is my right hand, my mom is my cook, my sisters. So we just a family business.
Now, why peaches? You literally have a peach empire.
I do. Honestly, peach cobbler was something I grew up on. It's something that no matter what type of event we had for my family, it was always a dessert. I don't care if it was somebody's baptism or a birthday party, Thanksgiving, barbecue. Peach cobbler was always on the menu. And so that's kind of how I fell in love with it. And then our slogan is everything here is sweeter. I mean, we honestly try to strive to be sweet in our hospitality, in our customer service, in our giving, in our, in the field, everything we do, we just try to be sweet and humble about it. So that's how we came up with Sweet Peaches Cobblers, where everything here is sweeter.
And you said seventh time was a charm. It took you seven iterations to get there?
It did. 7, and my important numbers right now are 7, 113, and 24. So the 7th month of being in stores, we got to the 113th store mark. And then our goal within 7 months this year is to be in 24 chains. So that's where we are.
Gosh, I mean, this is a lazy question, but I mean, have you ever thought about applying for Shark Tank?
So we have. I've won 3 grants total, and I've been fundraising to get our vegan product out on the shelves next. So I've tried, but to be honest, I'm a true believer that wherever God sends me, it is for me, so whatever happens, happens.
Yeah, timing is everything. Just one quick thing for other folks that are watching the show. Can you give a little background on AltCap and gifts? So for other entrepreneurs that are out there that are curious about it.
Absolutely. So Gift is an amazing opportunity for any small business, Black or brown business. It stands for Generating Income for Tomorrow, and they thrive off of someone just giving a $10 donation per month. And they have awarded $1 million to small business owners to help scale and grow their businesses. And AltCap is another great resource for small business owners. They really specialize in alternate capital fundraising opportunities and things like that for small business owners as well.
There you go. Good
Will
information
you
for
be
the audience.
expanding your empire past peaches? I feel like there's a whole market.
Oh, we do apple cobbler. So we have we do an apple cobbler that's in stores as well. We're working on our blackberry and blueberry cobbler, getting it out there to more of the southern. But I was once told it's easier to scale up when you have 2 or 3 SKUs, a family of 4, no more. So that's what we're working on, staying small. And then once we get to a point where we can afford to expand, we will.
If you need anybody to test the blueberry or the blackberry cobbler,
the blackberry cobbler. I'm like,
if you need somebody to just test it
right now.
while it's being in the testing phase, I would like to pay tribute. So yes.
Where are you located?
Mission
Central.
Kansas?
Yes.
Oh yeah, we got Hy-Vees and Price Shoppers in your area.
I know.
Yeah.
And then one last question before Michael moves on to the next question is shelf life. I know that's really important, and your products are very fresh, and that's a big difference between yourself and the competition. Can you kind of talk about that and how that came about?
So our product stays for our shelf life is a year, but the way we take pride in keeping our product fresh is the way we prepare our product. And a lot of times you go through the co-packers or a manufacturer and they change some things about the product to expand the shelf life. We kept our product the same. The only thing that changed was my pie crust. I now have a homemade pie crust from scratch. In the beginning, we was using box pie crust. Now I have my own. So that is the difference of our product, and it's a frozen ready to bake cobbler. And that means that it's less preservatives versus if it's a cooked cobbler and it's on the shelf, it has more preservatives to keep the lifespan longer.
That's what's up.
Miss Debra, you are up next. Where are you from? How did you get to Kansas City, and what do you do?
Hi, everybody. My name is Debbie Roark. I am the owner of Spirit Life Apparel and Screenprinting. I was born and raised in Wyandotte County. I have been here all my life, but now my location as far as my store is in Merriam, Kansas. So please stop by anytime.
Specifically in Merriam, Kansas, where are you? Because it is a dynamite location. So people don't realize how easy it is to stop by.
Yes, I'm located right across the street from IKEA, which is the corner of Johnson Drive and I-35. You can see my sign from the highway.
I can walk to your location right now.
Come on by, please.
I will.
You can have your own events there, but know that we're interrupting. Keep going.
But I do everything from screen printing to sublimation, embroidery. Everything is done in house. I do not send anything out. So if you order something here, it's going to be here when you get when it's completed. It's going to be here the whole time. So I also nobody else is doing this, knock on wood, but I do also do print and sip parties. So it's a good connection for people with their friends, family, co-workers. And I want to thank Scott because him and Top Gun had came out here. That was my first big group, Cinco de Mayo. But it's a chance for everybody to get together and you make your own t-shirt. It's BYOB, you can bring your own food and different things like that, and everybody have a good time. But also back to what really got me started was doing custom apparel. I am what I consider now a brand's brand. So a lot of things that I do is for everybody else for their marketing needs, promotional needs, whether it's family reunions, all of that. So I try to attract everyone, but I have something for everyone. But what my niche has been is dealing with a lot of groups and businesses.
Now, I can attest, because we have used your services quite a few times, where literally we will call you like Wednesday in a dither and you will have the stuff to us like late Thursday or Friday morning. And what has been the weirdest thing that somebody has asked you to screen print or come up with just literally overnight? I'm sure you've gotten some wackadoo.
Yeah, let's push the envelope here.
Yes, somebody asked me to do some football shirts for the next day, literally, like that next morning. So, and I said yes, because I don't know how to say no, but that was the weirdest thing I had to do. And of course, what they wanted on their shirts was so funny. I cannot say it on here, but yes, that was the funniest and weirdest thing. They needed it within the next 8 hours.
Yeah, everyone's going to have to message you or go to your location with that cliffhanger. But if they come to your location, will you tell them what the shirt said?
Yeah.
Yeah, look at that. There's a little table.
I got pictures too, so it was really funny. But
that was a good tease, Deborah. That's yes. And starting next week, I will be wearing some of your Lily and James creative apparel because I just ordered some polos from you, so I'm very excited.
Yeah.
Oh, from my boy Dan, Michael Mack and Scott Havers, two are my favorite people of all time. Shout out. Thank you, Dan. You're one of
we'll be bartending together, Dan. So you may see us sooner than later. And then before going to Phillip, Debbie, can you talk about the launching of your business? It's a great entrepreneurial story because you were doing 2, 3, 10 things at once, but you had 2 major projects going.
Right.
Your full-time gig and then your business. And now I know your business is everything, but how'd you start your business? What were you doing before you retired from the previous job?
I had a full-time job at Ford Motor Company. So working 10 hours a day, every other weekend. That was my gig for 31 years. So I was running I was working at that full-time place along with running my business full-time. Doing a lot of different events because at first when I started out, I was doing more events. Like that's how I started working with Aaron, that I would go to events and I would actually print on site for people instead of them just buying a bulk of stuff and then being left over, having a bunch of leftovers. So I would go to the site and actually print on site. People be able to purchase things there. But after that, I decided to step out on faith during COVID and come to this facility I'm at now. And I have been here now for almost 3 years. I think, 3 years. 2020, yes, 3 years. And things have been just growing and growing. And then I decided, okay, I done had enough before because I couldn't keep up with work. And plus, I was tired. I was about to get in trouble anyway. So I decided to retire from Ford instead of waiting around for the package deal. So I decided to retire last year. So this July will be be 1 year anniversary of working full time in my own business where I'm the boss. And so, yes, that's how I got started. And those are the things that I did. I can't believe it.
You're amazing.
Miss Debra, what's the weirdest apparel or screen printing trend you've sort of seen? That's become a thing.
The sublimation, the all over design, the all over t-shirts, the design that you see, where the design is all over, which got me kicked off of Facebook. Yeah, but that trend right there, sometimes you see a lot of them being rest in peace, but I do those, but I don't like to. Most of the time I do those is not pertaining to that. It'd be everything else from graduation to just because, Chiefs. And yeah, that's what got me in trouble.
Chief. Oh, well, that happens.
But that trend right there is I think that's the trend that is the most weirdest, because you can do sublimation with so many different things, but doing those all over shirts for everybody.
I don't know what sublimation is, but I'm gonna have to look that up.
Oh, okay. I was trying
unless you have an example handy. Oh, there she go.
Well, this is not a shirt, but
so fast.
This is a graduation.
So literally all over. Okay, I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
Now. Okay.
Yeah, very hard to do.
Yeah.
That's impressive. And I love how you just brought up the Chiefs because that takes us right to our last but not least, Phil Kelley, who he and I go way back. Phil, talk to me. Where are you from? How did you get to Kansas City, and what do you do?
All right. So my internet was shaky. Are you talking to me?
Yep, did. You're good. Your turn.
And I said, what a great segue, because Debra was just talking about the Chiefs, and I said, which takes us to our next guest.
Right.
So tell us, where are you from?
To Michael Mackey and how he knows me in our first very interaction. Go, Michael.
You were on my show, Kansas City Live.
No. Before that.
Before that?
Yes.
You
and I met when you were instructor.
Oh, that's right.
I was asked the crowd what they did. Go ahead.
I was teaching a fitness class, and I always sort of ask the class what they do, and I'm pretty candid. I'm borderline offensive when I'm up teaching in front of people, and I had been swearing and doing a bunch of offensive things, and then of course I just randomly stopped the
entire class where I'm dying.
I said, what do you do, young man? This should be rich. And we're doing biceps. And he said, I'm a pastor. And I literally dropped the barbell on the ground, doubled over. The class died laughing. It was hilarious. Yes, that is how I met you, Phil Kelley.
That's a good story.
Yes. And so I was team chaplain for the Kansas City Chiefs for several part-time 2011, 2012. And then full-time 2013 when Coach Reed got there, when we started going from worst to first, and did that for several years, right up until we won the Super Bowl. And I handed the responsibilities over to a buddy of mine. And now he has 2 rings and I have none. Yeah. But I am in the business of coaching different individuals, CEOs, presidents of companies, principals of schools, also NFL chaplains around the league. So I help lead the leadership development for NFL chaplains around the country. And it's kind of fun. But my main claim to fame right now is that this hat right here, you guys see that?
Yeah.
That is the Kansas City Hustlers wood bat semi-pro baseball league that I'm a part of, that I play second base, and I have this bruise right here on my elbow. You see, I don't know, you can't.
I know this. I knew this.
So as Phil is
frozen.
Is connecting back.
Phil will be back.
We'll talk about his debut at a young age in professional sports. So he at a very young age was drafted and really took off from there. So he'll explain more about it, but that's kind of how he got into sports. And then he's a Grandview graduate and actually went to high school right around the same time as Aaron Fulk. So Phillip, as we're talking about how you got into baseball, back us up to when you're 18.
Well, I had a few good seasons playing here in Kansas City area. Played for Spring Hill High School back in the sticks.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I hit the ball pretty well. And my junior and senior year, I got released.
So just so the audience,
practice partners were, guys like Johnny Damon, Jermaine Dye, Mike Sweeney, Joe Randa, Les Norman, Gary Gaetti, and those are like my buddies. And so that's how I got introduced into the professional sports world. And as a high school kid, at 17, 18 years old, I was like, man, this is freaking awesome. Let's go. So that was pretty fun.
And how did you take a left turn and go into into clergy studies?
Well, guys like Michael Mackey were really like, near and dear to my heart. No. So there was a cute girl that I had a crush on who wouldn't date me unless I went to church with her. I was 17 years old, and I was like, I love Jesus. Yeah. Okay. Come on. And that was it. And so then I went to college and to a school in Virginia on a 4-wide baseball scholarship, Division I. And then I quit the team my freshman year because I was like, I want to go be a pastor. And so I became a pastor when I was 19 years old. Senior pastor of a church when I was 19 years old.
Talk about finding your calling early. Wow.
Kind of crazy story. And been doing, ministry and speaking and leadership development ever since.
And then one question, what is the fastest growing part of your organization in terms of what is growing the most, and what do you enjoy about that it's growing so much?
Yeah. Scott, I think when you and I met, it was like right in the middle of COVID. Events were very sparse. And
you were still working with the NFL.
I remember in like
the NFL, yeah.
3 days. Yeah. But a lot of what I do, like business-wise, is keynote speaking. I do a lot of speaking at events. I do a lot of retreats. I do a lot of speaking at companies for leadership development. Culture is a huge thing. Like I have a whole series on how do you develop authentic, genuine, vulnerable culture that holds people accountable and drives them in their leadership. But during COVID, that wasn't the case. And so I would say 75% of my business dropped out. And so it's starting to getting asked to come speak at these conferences. I'm doing a lot of work with schools, doing a lot of work with
it was Michael Mackey teaching at the gym.
And so fun. And helping teachers teach better, principals principal better. And instead of I do a lot of work with NFL players have foundations, which is great. But instead of giving away 1,000 backpacks, let's give away 1,000. I have this thing right here. Wasn't planning on it, but this Spark kit. It's an educational math activity, right? Where there's math, there's games, there's activities for parents to do. So instead of just handing out, hey, we're going to give away a backpack for school, to help parents teach their kids how to be better students in the classroom, out of the classroom, in the community. And players are getting behind it. GMs and other, coaches in the NFL are getting behind it, and we're having some fun with it. Yeah, so it's fun to make a difference beyond just, in the state, on the stage, but in the home as well.
Yeah, it's amazing how everyone's businesses pivoted in a great way during COVID. And as we do that, we will pivot into Burns McDonnell's question of the day. And then
all right, let's roll.
You will start off, and then Michael will lead us through the questioning. So without any further ado, the Burns Mac question of the day.
Hello, my name is Lisa Diven. I'm a mechanical engineer at Burns & McDonnell. I currently write proposals for our oil, gas, and chemical business. And my question today is, what technology is essential for your business?
First up, Brenda.
Well, as a sports broadcaster, I've always my entire career been on the sidelines, best seat in the house, headphones on, calling the action. And since COVID, a percentage of my games have been from here in my home. And so calling the games. Now, I don't know what all the technology is. I just know they send me these big kits in front of me right now. I have, my television and my camera and my lighting and so forth. And so probably the ability of ESPN and others to have this technology that I can actually sit here in Olathe, Kansas in my office and call a game in Starkville, Mississippi, or Auburn, Alabama, or wherever my games are, and call games from my home. So that's been an incredible part of the technology of the business that I never thought I would do in my long broadcasting career. But it's, I would rather be at the game. I'd rather be there at the practices, talking to the coaches. But there's something to be said about when the game's over and I take my headset off, I could just go down the stairs to my kitchen instead of hopping on another flight. So it hasn't been a terrible thing.
Oh, that's awesome. Miss Denisha, what about you?
Honestly, video recording is probably the best technology for us outside of my QuickBooks and spreadsheets, so those are very important too. But the video recording has honestly helped us grow tremendously, because when we first got started, we just started doing live tastings. And I have over, 300 some odd tastings from year one when we started. And then the second year, we started traveling with the barbecue festival to different NFL stadiums. And so I have recordings all the way from Jacksonville, from the Denver Broncos stadium. I have thousands of them when people just started getting used to us saying, hey, do you mind us recording the first time you tasted, and give us your genuine feedback about it. And it started just going off the rockers. Like, everybody was ready to sign up to do a live tasting. Like, I would have people come and say, oh no, I'm gonna tell you the truth. And then, be like, oh my God, this is the best cobbler I've ever had. And then it's people who's never had cobbler a day in their life. And I'm shocked, but it happens because it's a generational gap, I think, where younger people really don't appreciate cobbler. It probably because it's another generation that don't really know how to make it, like me, because I was that person, so I definitely say video recording for us.
Who's on your celebrity wish list to try your cobbler? Like, who do you want to feed your cobbler to?
Right now, I've been tagging Keith Lee. I don't know if you all are familiar with Keith Lee, but he is a really big food critic on TikTok. And he's reached over maybe 11 million followers so far with his following. But as far as a celebrity, I don't know. I almost want Patti LaBelle to taste my cobbler.
Because she has those pies, right?
Yeah.
Yes, she needs to try your cobblers. And I know that Keith Lee is probably watching this. So Keith, shout out to Denisha when you see this, okay?
Yeah.
So, yes. All right, Miss Debra, technology, what are your thoughts?
I would say mine is the computer, software, those, and then along with the AI thing that's going on trend right now, that is really taking off with the learning different techniques as far as images and stuff like that. So computers, definitely.
And Phil, what about technology for you?
For me, it's like I love being live. I feel like I come alive when there's a live audience, there's a live interaction. I can talk with human people. But to be able to
I love it, since Michael and I are buddies with Phil, we could just keep finishing a sentence and then
yes, wait for it. Let's go back to Patti LaBelle for just a minute. She needs to try your cobbler.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't think of it as competition because hers isn't frozen. But yeah, he's back.
Phil, you're back.
We
lost you, buddy.
Team game.
You got frozen on the part about you love when you have a live audience and people are up in front of you. It's where you come alive.
Great. Thank you, Michael. Yes. You guys are the best. We're talking about technology and then it freezes. But yeah, so to be able to take my presentation and not have to worry about a jump drive, not have to worry about emailing a slide presentation that has 127 slides, but just to be able to like upload it to whatever cloud is in the universe, and then be able to then have the human interaction, like less focused on technology, more focused on the human. But the technology aspect is very important when it's seamless, and that's what I love about it.
Nice.
As we look into 2023 and what everyone's accomplished, Brenda, we'll start with you. You know, what were your goals to start out the year, and have you been hitting them? I feel like this is a good midway point to reassess what's going on. So,
yes, ma'am.
What were your goals, and have you hit them?
Well, with my documentary series that I'm working on, it's called If Not For Them, and people can check it out, ifnotforthem.com. But, you know, I've been doing my broadcasting job while I've been working on this documentary series. So I've kind of had to compartmentalize. And so I just started the major fundraising part of it right after the women's Final Four. And of course, you know, you hope that you can ask somebody to be a big presenting sponsor of your docuseries and they say yes, and you go. And that hasn't happened yet. But I'm having some really productive conversations with corporate sponsors, with foundations, with individuals that are helping me toward this goal of producing this. It's really a groundbreaking documentary series. Nobody's ever done anything like it in women's sports, and I'm really proud to be a part of it. So it's not going as fast as I hope, but nothing ever does as far as fundraising. But we are making progress, and that's why, you know, I wanted to come on and talk about it just a little bit, because I think there are people probably out there that love sports and would love to be on this wave of women's sports right now, and how things are going so successfully, and great viewership and great investment. And if you'd like to be a part of really celebrating those that built the foundation for what we have now and got us started, that's what If Not For Them is about. And, you know, I'd love to talk to people about how they can be involved.
And we just put it on the screen, ifnotforthem.com, right?
Yes. Thank you. Yes.
You are. Yes.
And then hopefully this is not a novice question. Your logo, is that Pat Summitt coaching?
No, but it is Pat Summitt's mentor.
Oh, okay.
And so it's a silhouette of her mentor, which is one of the great stories. I mean, I would love to just tell all the stories that I have, and I won't take up that time.
But when I see it, it's almost like she's pointing just like Pat Summitt.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. She grew up, her name was Billy Moore. She grew up in Topeka, Kansas. She was our first Olympic coach in 1976, won a couple of national championships in the 1970s, and really was Pat Summitt's mentor throughout her career. And so just a remarkable person, and just one of the incredible stories that we tell in If Not For Them. So if not for them, if not for her, we may not have had Pat Summitt. And if we didn't have Pat Summitt, we may not have had Candace Parker and Tamika Catchings and all the amazing people that have played at Tennessee. There are just lots of connections from history to our headlines of today. It's pretty cool.
And for everyone that's biased Kansas fans, just the state of Kansas. I mean, a lot of roots, not all the roots, but a lot of the roots.
Yeah. And incredibly, Billy Moore went to Dr. Fogg Allen as her chiropractor when she was in junior high and having some back trouble. And he, besides, you know, Allen Fieldhouse, he was our Olympic coach in the 30s. And so the fact that she got to be our first women's basketball Olympic coach in 76, there's that Kansas tie as well. And then Marion Washington was one of the first Black women to play on a U.S. national team. And she was on the first national championship team that played in 1969. So we've got some incredible stories about Marion Washington as well. So when you interview over 100 people, there are a lot of stories, but there are some definite ties to this area.
Janae Talbot says, fog, yes! Exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point. So, yes.
Absolutely.
And then, so Denisha, what are some goals that you had at the beginning of the year, and how are you doing on them?
Some of my goals, but one of them is to be in 24. I said change earlier. I meant states. 24 states. And so far, we're in the end of April, and we have reached an additional 6 states. So I'm doing pretty good on that goal.
How many more do we have?
Yeah, how many more?
What do we get? Yeah.
So we have 18 more to go.
Oh, okay.
18 more to go. And with 2 chains that we're working on, we would reach where we need to be. There's some pretty big chains, but we're not pitching to them until around the
Are
fall.
you talking about the artist 2 chains? Or are you talking about because one chain can get you to all those 18 states? But yes,
yeah.
Uh-oh.
You know, it's the technology company Phil and I are starting that's going on right now.
It's correct.
Guys,
Yeah, you and I, man.
Okay, you hear me?
Got you.
Yeah, you're back.
Oh,
My joke about 2 chains was so good that it just
it broke the internet. Yes, exactly.
So Denisha will pop back on, and then we can tag team since we're all teaming up together. There you go, Denisha.
Okay. So like I said, we're doing a scale up chain where we started the smaller store chains that has around 100 or 200 stores, and then we work our way up 400 or 500 stores. And then probably the chains that have around 1,000 or more stores. So we do a scale up. So we're just taking our time, making sure we can, breathe while we're scaling up. We don't want to empty or deplete our working capital, and trying to just be smart and strategic about where we go. And one other goal that I'm working on is getting licensed with Jack Daniels to get my Daniels cobbler in the store.
That is,
come on.
yes.
Yeah.
Bring it.
All right. So Debbie, and by the way, do you go by Debra or Debbie? You said Debbie.
Well, my friends call me Debbie, so y'all my friends. So y'all can call me Debbie.
Yeah, because every time I hear your name, it's Debra Roark. So it's the full name. You know, when you say Michael Mackey, it's a big deal. You get the full name. But I'll say Debbie. So Debbie, what were some of your goals at the beginning of the year, and how are you doing on those?
My goals for this year was to be able to scale where I am doing a lot more corporate accounts. And so that has kind of happened. It took off, and I had to step back because I didn't really realize what I was asking for, because I had to get the people in place to help me to finish, to do all the things. So that was like, oh, wait, hold on, So as far as that, I had to kind of step back and make sure I was doing things correctly and not just jumping off because I always say yes to stuff and then deal with the consequences later. So I'm trying to do better with that part, but doing a lot of businesses with corporations, more with corporations, and then also doing a lot more events. As far as my print and sip, I would like to be able to do some things with that where I will be able to what I want to say, almost like the Avon lady, I'll bring it to you. So make it more mobile. So or even coming up with kits. So those 2 things, that's what I've been kind of working on as well. But that's, as far as right now. But by the end of this year, though, my goal is to have a line of apparel out, and it's going to be loungewear as well as just casual, soft apparel.
Miss Debbie, you had me at loungewear. Okay.
Right. Me too. I think somebody should create something for times like this where you're lounging all day, then you got that one meeting that you got to put something on just for the top.
Yeah.
You know, so maybe pajamas
That's
at the
right now.
bottom and then a
I just got the top on.
corporate America top.
That's one of my really, because I'm so busy doing stuff for everybody else. So I thought that would be something really cool, something that's easy, you know, but still can look really nice. So
if you do something with a peaches motif, you should probably tie in with Denisha.
I definitely will. Eating
Full
yes,
circle. Yeah.
absolutely.
So Phil, as we break down 2023, what were your goals that you started with, and how are you tracking on those goals?
My goal was to have a peaches top just with embroidery that Michael Mack can wear in the women's NCAA tournament.
Yeah, with a microphone.
Yeah. Not sure how that can happen, but no.
We can do it.
No, this has been a fantastic conversation. You know, for me, like, I have been so focused on writing another book. So I don't think in terms of like my goal for the year. I think of my goal for the day.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I focus on the year, I get so sidetracked. So I have a goal for the day of writing 1,000 words every morning before breakfast.
Wow.
Oh wow.
Now, before you think I'm like too fancy, I didn't say 1,000 good words.
Yeah.
I just said 1,000 words. But that practice, that habit, that discipline of waking up and saying, okay, you know what? Even if I have to write, like, I am writing 1,000 words. I don't know what I'm going to say today. This is where I left off yesterday. But just that discipline of writing. So I'm working on curriculum for companies, pretty large companies, of what it looks like to create an established healthy culture. And I'm utilizing a stupid, I would say not stupid, but a very memorable way of looking at it, using the analogy of coal, 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 like culture. And so I spoke at a company about a year ago, and I said, hey, you know, KC Chiefs, we focused on developing our culture, clarity, ownership, attitude, leadership. And I handed everybody either kindling, like little pieces of wood, or bigger pieces of wood, or pieces of coal. And I said, what do all of these have in common? Well, they all are part of a fire, right? But most of us focus just on kindling, the inspiration, motivation, the things that burn up fast and dwindle. And I said, the kindling is just like that motivation. By the time you leave the parking lot, you're going to forget what I say, which is fine. It's cool. The wood burns longer, but not as much as coal does. But the wood is like the mission statement on the wall. And I said, your mission statement's hanging on the wall. However, your culture happening down the hall. So what is it about your culture? And then I gave everybody a piece of coal. I was like, these take forever to burn. But once they do, they can burn all night. However, once you take that piece of coal away from its friends, it fizzles.
Right.
So that's kind of what I'm working on now, is like how can we create and systematize developing culture around what we want, what we don't want, and what we want in the future, and bring that about in the immediate. So
that's good.
Now, Debbie,
I get the name in Michael.
I like. So, Debbie, you forgot to mention a award that you won in the state of Kansas before we go to our icebreaker. What was the award you won?
I have not won any awards.
No, Phil. This is for Debbie. But you won the Michael Mackey Scott Havens Award for the best hat. Debbie, what award did you win for this?
What's your award?
State of Kansas Small Business of the Year Manufacturing Firm.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
so as we go into an icebreaker, I feel embarrassed to ask an icebreaker when I have the king of icebreakers, Michael Mackey, the voice of Kansas City, on here. But Brenda, we will ask you what your favorite hole-in-the-wall restaurant is. That's a local joint.
That is always my question. That's a good question, Scott.
Okay, well, I copied off Michael. So we have 4 minutes before Michael signs us off and talks about Bank of Blue Valley and Burns McDonnell. But Brenda, what is your favorite hole-in-the-wall restaurant here in Kansas City?
Oh gosh, I'm so bad with names sometimes. Is the Early Bird Cafe downtown? Is that what it's called? Right off downtown, west of downtown. I think it's called the Early Bird Cafe. I love it, but I obviously haven't been there for a little bit, really, since COVID. So I need to go back. So good reminder, I need to go back.
Hey, Janae Talbot gives you a shout out. Hey, Debra, that's big stuff. Congrats. What?
Thank you.
All right, Miss Denisha, what's your favorite local hole in the wall that we need to know about?
Oh, I'm a Chinese girl. I love Lucky Dynasty off of 47th and Purcell, or in between Purcell and Troost. I will travel to the end of the earth just to go there and get my Chinese food.
Lucky Dynasty.
Okay, say it again. Where's it at?
It's off of like 47th and between Purcell and Troost, like right across diagonal from Gates.
Yep.
Gates Barbecue. Okay. Yeah.
Miss Debbie.
My favorite would probably, it's a tie, but Niecy's on 63rd and Troost, their breakfast. Mm-hmm. Yeah, their pork chop breakfast is the bomb. And King's Table. I love soul food. Yes, and that's right on, what's that, 63rd and Purcell?
Miss Debbie, you got to take me to King's Table. I've never even heard of it.
Oh my goodness. After we get done eating, you got to go home and go to sleep.
All right, we're going.
Oxtails and greens, all of it. Smother everything. Yes.
So Phil, we got 2 minutes left. What is your favorite hole in the wall restaurant in Kansas City? And then Michael's gonna.
My biggest thing is the spicier the better. So 135th and Ridgeview. So Olathe, a little Spanish market called Benito Michoacan or Michoacan, and you go at lunchtime, and there is, it seems like 50, folks in line for their tacos.
My.
It is the absolute greatest. I mean, sometimes you got to pay cash only, which is fantastic with me.
Right.
But it is the best.
All right, Michael Mackey.
Well, mine is, I have a problem because I was just there literally right before this show. Taco Naco. Taco Naco is so good. Not to compete with you, Phil, but Taco Naco at 82nd.
Where's it located?
You got to take me there, man.
82nd and Metcalf. I will, and it is so good. Authentic street tacos, very gourmet, but very hole in the wall. And I love Chef Fernanda so much.
All right.
And I have to say, it's not Early Bird. It's Bluebird Bistro. I'm so sorry.
Bluebird.
Yeah. 1700 Summit.
Yeah, Bluebird.
Yeah. Sorry. I'm really sorry, but that I had to look it up because it's been since COVID since I've been there. So I have to go back now that you reminded me.
Well, with it being 4:00, that is the time we have. There's our dinner bell ringing right there. So we want to thank Bank of Blue Valley and Burns McDonnell, our sponsors. We want to thank all of our panelists. We want to thank Michael Mackey, Kansas City celebrity, the voice of Kansas City, and everyone on the panel. But we're going to wave at our screens, and then Sandra's going to turn us off. So I hope everyone had a